It is 7:08, and it is workshop commission meeting, February 28th, 2024. And let's pledge the allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Here.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Here.
Vice Mayor Morset.
Here.
The mayor will not be attending tonight. We have quorum.
All right. 4 deletions or withdrawals to the agenda.
Yes, sir, I have a couple of items. We're going to be removing 9.1. We're also going to be removing 9.1. We're going to be adding to 10.1, the contract, which is Imperial Computing and Consulting. That document is being added, and we are also going to be, no, the other one is, those are the only two changes, sorry, that's it.
Yeah, actually, the police build-out update is actually adding that contract.
Right.
The placeholder was there, the contract was updated just this afternoon. It had to go to the attorney's office, so the item was there already.
All right. The fire department, are you ready for your?
No, we need to just make a motion
Make a motion.
to accept the agenda
yeah, sorry.
as amended.
Can I have
I'm sorry, respectfully, this would be a workshop, there is no motion, there is no action.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's have the chief. Chief Kane, how are you doing? Your eyes any good?
Very good, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commission, and staff. Battalion Chief Michael Kane, Broward Sheriff's Office, Department of Fire and Rescue, presenting to you the statistics for the town of Pembroke Park for the month of January 2024. For the month of a total of 227 calls in the town. The composition is 19 vehicle accidents. 22 vehicle accidents were on the highway. 12 structure fires. 14 fire alarms, 151 medical calls for service, and 9 service calls for a total of 227. That concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
You too.
Good night.
Let's go to 6, the building department, interim building official, Pizzillo. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing fine. Hope you're doing the same. Mr. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, through the interim city manager, I am your interim building official, Steve Pizzillo. The numbers are still lagging a little behind. The bump hasn't really started for the winter like it usually does, with the one exception. Plan reviews in the month of January were double those of the 3 previous months, showing the dramatic increase that's happening. And the numbers this month are continuing with that. Seneca 2 and 3 are finishing their build-outs, so those buildings are actually starting to be occupied. The storage building on Hallandale they're doing the interior finishes now. As you can see, they're working on the outside. The interior, they're up on the 4th floor already. The hospital building, which is the center portion there, it still has not been issued. We're not exactly sure why. It's been approved, but it hasn't been issued. The Magnolia townhouses have started. The site work is being done. We've gone through the first round of plan review on all those buildings, and we gave them comments back. About a month ago. Haven't seen anything on that yet. The O'Reillys is on their 3rd project manager, trying to finish out the project, and the car wash is, even though it was CO'd, has been sold, from what I hear, and they replaced all the brand new equipment inside of it with brand new equipment.
Something that works this time?
It was never used, as far as I could tell. And with that, if you have any questions.
Any questions?
I do. I have a complaint to bring forward. Got a complaint from a business owner here, David Bogman, and I have forwarded it. It will be in the town clerks and town managers' inbox here shortly. So, hi, Mr. Jacobs. My name is David Bogman, real estate broker in the town of Pembroke Park, and for the last 21 years. Last year, our small business community were experiencing some difficulties with the building department and the code enforcement. The appointment of Mr. Steve Pizzillo as the new head of the building department in Pembroke Park seemed to be promising at first. However, his ambitions and plans to acquire 6 new cars for the building department and generate more revenue through fees and fines took an alarming turn. Rather than implementing fair and sensible measures, Mr. Pizzillo resorted to aggressive code enforcement tactics that specifically targeted small business. These code enforcers would intrude into establishments without any valid reason or permits, citing violations on trivial matters such as bathrooms and air conditioning. Their assumptions was that these businesses have been operating without permits for the past 2 decades. Without consideration of the facts, many of these haven't even existed in those locations for that long. To add insult to injury, these code enforcement officers demand permits from business owners who issued violations if they failed to present them. In essence, the burden of proof falls on the business themselves. In their innocence being wrongly assumed, Mr. Pizzillo's initial promise to triple the amount of collected from the fines and fees last year was perceived as justifiable means to finance the purchase for new cars in the for the department. However, this place, This place has an unjustifiable and inexpensive burden on these small enterprises, which are often operated by hardworking individuals starving to meet their expenses and strain their livelihoods. If you have time, I'd be glad to meet and discuss and try to resolve any of these problems. I did meet with Mr. Bogman. I had a conversation with him over the phone the other day and told him I would bring forward his concerns at this workshop, and did advise that you'd have nothing to do with the vehicles for the building department. So that is part of the town. So wanted the commission to bring this forward. It's now in your guys' inboxes. You can forward it to the commissioners as well so they can have a copy of it.
Well, first of all, I never said we were going to triple the amount coming in via fines. Never have said that. As far as Mr. Bogman, we met on his property with all the chiefs because he had been cited by code enforcement. We met last November, and we all walked the property and pointed out all the violations that he had on his property, which he kept on saying, Lucy knows about it. Lucy knows about it. Well, there were no permits pulled on it. Then he started with the, well, that thing is 20 years old. No, it's not. He just chooses not to comply with violations that are on his property. Some of them are life, health, safety issues. A lot of electric was done in his property that probably doesn't meet code. So if you're going to tell me that I shouldn't be violating people for life, health, safety, please say so.
I'm not saying that whatsoever. I read the complaint that came forward.
Yeah, I met with the gentleman too, and I think first of all he's mistaking you for somebody else, mixing 2 officers together, and whatever is happened out there, I haven't seen it myself, so I have to trust that you are doing your due diligence.
Thank you, sir.
I met with this gentleman also. I actually went to the property and saw some of the so-called violations, and the work is crap. He's having some handyman or something do the work, and it's not up to par. It's not up to standard. And if he doesn't have permits for it, then it's a hazard. It's a safety hazard.
And the code officer Ramirez did look for permits, and we did a due diligence on that end, could not find anything.
No, that was his complaint that you came out without checking first, and then knowing Ramirez said that that's not how she works.
And the one business, the hair salon, it was all caught on a BTR inspection. So we went out for a BTR inspection and saw all this work that had been done, including creating small offices, wiring run all over the place in there now. So it's not like we just went on the property with no reason.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And on that behalf, I'd also like to say that if you pull a permit, it's not our responsibility. Actually, it's this guy is supposed to put them permits in the window until the job is signed off by our building officials.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have one, then he never got one. Or he's lost it, or whatever. And if we don't have one, it sounds like never one was issued, which means he never applied for it.
And his comment was that he had them. We're telling him we don't see anything. And if you got something, show it to us. You know,
Exactly.
stuff happens sometimes, but he hasn't been able to produce. We haven't been able to find.
So that means he doesn't have it.
No,
Yeah.
I would put money on it that he doesn't.
Yeah, I
And again,
I got that
did,
impression.
I did meet with the gentleman. I went out there. I did several inspections on the site because before he sent the letter, he called the building department, and I took it upon myself to go there and investigate. I believe on one of the inspections, I took one of the staff from the building department with me out there, and there are several things out there that, again, if it's health and safety, in my opinion, we should not be opining on it or giving our opinion. Anything with health and safety will fall under the building department, and I would make sure the building official gives his opinion on that, especially when it comes to health and safety issues, and especially when electric and permits were not pulled from what I'm hearing. That's my comment on it.
yeah, people need to understand that there's a difference between repairs and modifications. And it seems like in this case there were done many modifications without permit.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Nope.
Oh,
Thank you, Steve.
Code Compliance, Chief Code Compliance Officer Ramirez, are you ready? Thank you. Good evening to you.
Chief Code Compliance Officer for the Town of Pembroke Park. Good evening, Vice Mayor and Town Commissioners. For the month of January 2024, I am reporting 1 order of abatement, 16 affidavit of compliance, 15 affidavit of non-compliance, 2 amended final orders, 4 courtesy notice, 10 final orders, 23 notice of formal hearings, 27 notice of violation, and 4 supplemental order claim of liens. Some highlights for the month of January, Officer Gustin and myself, we took the training for conducting risk assessments for critical community assessments, the CPR training, and we also, on another note, we resolved an illegal dumping issue at Family Dollar that was 4100 West Hondo Beach Boulevard, where there are houses residential homes across the back end of Family Dollar, and there was a lot of furniture dumped there. They were cited for not maintaining the swale area, and because failure to maintenance the swale area, the town had to intervene. So Waste Management went out there and cleaned up the property on February 13th. And then lastly, I want to bring to your attention a citizen complaint that we had around January 30 about A&B recycling. The property is right now overspilling onto the right-of-way. The business owner uses the right-of-way to operate, and sometimes it blocks traffic. I have photos to show you, and I'm going to give it to the town clerk so she can upload them.
Town Attorney, didn't we foreclose on that property?
Yeah, I need to go back and look at my notes. I don't believe that it. There is some history.
There's a lot of history with it.
It's
We've been working
yeah.
on it for at least 4 years.
So the property has been currently cited. The neighboring properties are complaining that, there's just trash everywhere. It looks horrible. And so I want to show in the picture. Where it's circled, that's the town's right-of-way. And across from it is public parking for customers. So the complaint is that where the customer parkings are, they are using it to operate. So they have their trucks. So if you scroll down to the photos, you'll see Well, that's the inside of the building, the condition that it's in, which is the reason why the Broward County board ordered for demolition, but we're not going to go the route. The route that we want to take is foreclosure, which was approved by the town back in
That's a couple of years.
July 13, 2022.
2022.
It looks like they're taking in more material than they're shipping out.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
And if
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jocelyn.
I provided an Excel spreadsheet that tells you the time the violation was issued and how much the fines have accrued. As you can see, it's almost $1 million. Again, the town commission approved it back in July 13, 2022 for foreclosure. However, we wanted to bring it back forward to the commission since it was approved by the previous commission. We want to bring it forward to the new commission and make you aware of the situation and ask what direction do you want to take going forward.
Well,
Foreclosure.
We've already foreclosed on it.
Yeah, if I may, just a little bit of history here, if I could, and I'm just looking back through some of my notes. In December of 2021, which was before our time as your interim city attorney, your former town attorney, Melissa Anderson, had reached out to our office to inquire of us as it relates to potential foreclosure and some other issues with regards to this property. We did a memorandum to her at the time. It was a confidential memorandum in anticipation of potential litigation. There may be some potential issues, or at least there were, we would want to revisit as it relates to foreclosure, but we're certainly open to that idea. There are certain legal standards when it comes to that process. If the commission were to provide authorization and direction to move in that direction, we would certainly initiate that. It does require an order of the magistrate to proceed, but we're prepared to put all of the pieces in place to begin the foreclosure process. It has not yet happened, and Mr. Vondermüller reminded me, I think some number of years ago, there might have been a settlement that was negotiated with this particular property owner. I do not know the status of that or whether or not he has or has not complied. Assuming there has been non-compliance, and if it's the direction of this commission, we're prepared to begin the foreclosure process, which again requires a couple steps preliminarily before we get to the courthouse, but we have no legal issue or barrier moving forward in that direction as we sit here tonight.
Town attorney, I think we're farther along than that. I mean, we voted for things for this a while back, so could you look into, find out where we're
If we
at?
could, yeah,
And
okay, bring that back. Yeah, I'm
Bring it
happy.
back, let's bring it to the next meeting as a line item for discussion.
We'll do that, no problem.
Okay,
that's
and with
your
that,
recommendation, right? Because
yes, absolutely.
operating.
Yeah, they're not cooperating. The reasons why these fines accrue to so much is because of the repeat violations. And so we cited them again because of our citizen complaint back in January 30, 2024. And we do have photos from 2024 depicting the violations that still exist. Recently, they had demolished a bathroom that was in bad condition, and now they have a porta potty outside as a bathroom. So it just gets worse as the years pass by.
We will pick the ball back up tomorrow, bring this back for an update on the 13th.
Yes, please. My question here is, in case of foreclosure, who's paying for the cleanup? Because that's a major cleanup
We
job.
actually pay for the cost of the cleanup, but it comes out, we get reimbursed for the cost with the sale of the property.
Yeah, the city's costs are recorded as a lien against the property, and when it is sold, we collect on that lien.
All right. Any other questions?
Any kind of lien on the property? Any kind
Yes, there are liens on the property.
And part of the foreclosure process would be preparing updated title work, because when you file a foreclosure, all interested parties are entitled to notice. We would need to do some preliminary title work to determine who in fact is entitled to that notice and who would be named as the appropriate party.
Can we stop them from operating?
What's that?
Can we stop them from operating?
We can't hear you, your mic.
The question is whether or not we can stop them from operating as a business.
Here we go.
I think that's a much higher bar and more difficult hurdle to overcome, but we will look at that as an option.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have another issue to discuss with code enforcement.
Go ahead.
So, this started before you guys got here a while back. And I'm just going to kind of give an overview of what this is about. So, we haven't had, our building official we had that was running our building department had a frivolous complaint filed against him where he was put on administrative leave pending an outcome of an investigation. When the outcome of the investigation came, he was cleared. There was another investigation by the state that was cleared. And then certain individuals here in the town clerk, the HR director, and I believe the town manager were complaining that there was another third state investigation that was pending that never was. This drug out long enough that the building official resigned and took another position elsewhere. And we lost the best building official we'd had in the town. He was replaced by current building official Steve Pizzillo, the town clerk's husband. After the replacement, I will tell you, our code enforcement and code compliance in the town has fallen wayward. It's not to the standard that it was before, and it's got a lot of issues. People are being violated on the whim, and it's like throwing a handful of spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And it's up to the owner to prove their innocence. That's not how things are done. We're not guilty till proven innocent. You know, this is backwards the way you're doing it. So, in August, chief code enforcement officer came over to my family's coffee shop. And yes, we did have a grand opening sign up without a permit. $15 a day is what the town of Pembroke Park charges to have a grand opening sign up, which is ridiculous in permits. We've been discussing this for 2-3 years on trying to get the cost of our permits down. Even to put up a sign in town, there's like $700 permit fee for a business. It's ridiculous. So this has been one of these discussions going on. The other thing is I had a sandwich sign out in front of my coffee stand, which is very normal for any food truck. It's against the town. We removed it and put it away. The other thing was Chief Code Enforcement Officer Ramirez decided to violate me on some other items that were on my food truck, which were preempted by the state. I told her that. Her feelings got hurt. And because her feelings got hurt, she filed a complaint with the city about Commissioner Jacobs. Not business owner Jeffrey Jacobs, but Commissioner Jacobs. This is going to cost the town another $25,000 because she emotionally got hurt by me correcting her. This complaint has really no substance to it whatsoever. But after that, she went over to the mayor's house and cried on the mayor's shoulder for an hour. And the mayor, who at the time was working diligently to remove me from office. So along with the HR director, the town clerk, it just continues. But then this complaint was filed. It's another frivolous complaint filed against me. Guys, I'm tired of this. This is costing taxpayers a lot of money for a lot of bogus stuff going on here in town. But the difference is she had an issue with my wife in here. She says a snarky attitude. See, what you guys don't realize is that we developed a friendship over the last several years, okay? Jocelyn Ramirez insulted my wife, disrespected my family, and violated my family's trust. You know, I tell you, I act professional. And even with this, it was done professionally. Your feelings got hurt because you were in the wrong. And it took time for the town attorney, the town manager, and everybody to make this go away because you were in the wrong. You did not want to back down. All right? But I'll tell you what, for me, I will always be the same up here and act the same as I do. But if you confront my wife and get in her face again, I can't tell you what's going to happen. All right? Your attitude and your demeanor with my wife is completely unacceptable.
I don't think it's appropriate.
This is appropriate.
Right. No, you're not. You're threatening a.
I'm not threatening her. I'm saying it's going to be personal.
Okay.
Okay?
That's enough. We're stopping here.
Personal.
It sounds like a little bit of a threat.
This is
Okay.
sounds like a
take
threat
it
to
the
me.
way it is.
Back it
But
down a little bit.
your rudeness and disrespect towards my family and our friendship is unacceptable. This has no substance to it. Again, costing the taxpayers a great deal of money for nothing. For nothing.
Was the sign legal or illegal?
Half the signs were legal. The
Half.
two that were removed
All right.
were taken down. It was a
All
sandwich
right,
sign.
all right, so it was 50% were legal.
But you know what?
50%
Here's the
weren't.
thing. It's a violation, and it was corrected. The thing was, she did not want to back down off the other two that were.
It was a courtesy notice.
So it was taken care
Verbal,
of.
verbal warning and courtesy notice,
So
for the record.
that's all I have.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other?
Your dime on that one.
All right, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Finance Department. Is Director DiLena here?
No, Vice Mayor. This is that information is strictly just informational, and there's nobody, he wouldn't be presenting.
Okay.
This is for informational purposes only. All the bills over $500 is actually submitted to commission. So
Okay. And Human Resource, we're taking that one off. IT Department, the Director Pakula. Sorry, catching you on the wrong leg.
Mark Pakula, IT Department. Good evening, Commissioners. We were going to talk about the police build-out. I don't know if that's what we're, is that what we're going to do? Okay. So, yeah, so we've been working with vendors, and we came up, we got a couple quotes. One was extremely high. The other one was also high. We decided to go with the company that had the lowest quote for doing the wiring, installing cameras, access control. The total came to $124,448.20, and I'm asking the commission to put it on consent so we can get the ball rolling. Legal has already looked at it. We were waiting for a contract this morning. We got that signed. That's why we didn't get it on till this evening. If we can put it on consent, we can keep the ball rolling and keep on schedule and get this thing open by May 15th. Get it done. So that's what I'm asking for. I've broken it out into two areas, police side and town side. So for budgeting purposes, we can, put the monies accordingly where they need to go.
Any question on
So you're
this,
looking
or
for
can we move
direction?
it to
No,
consent?
I have a lot of questions on this as well.
Sure.
So I spoke with the contractor. The contractor ran all the conduit for all of this, and it was all, I know where the conduits run for security purposes. I'm not going to say so, but it's all completely accessible through the ceiling. No walls have to be torn down. No extra work has to be done. And I was right before when I said the contractor stopped being paid. The contractor stopped being paid. That's why they stopped working. You said otherwise at the last meeting, but I did speak with the contractor. The contractor did not get paid and stopped work. So I want to make that very clear in the record. That's what happened, because I did speak with the contractor on it.
I did speak.
And you were wrong.
No, I was not wrong. The town hired a project manager, which was Calvin Giordano, who's managing the project, and the architect of record. They are the ones who approve every payment that comes to us. If those payments are not approved by your project manager and the architect, I am not going to pay it. Those payments are approved based on the design that the architect has done to ensure all the products and all the design meet the requirements per the design that was done. If they don't sign off on those applications, I cannot approve the payment. I was in several meetings with Commissioner Hodgkins pertaining to those things, those items, and he could also give his opinion on it, what happened.
Well, then you came forward saying we're going to have to tear down walls and do
No, we're not going to.
$150,000 worth of repairs.
I never said about tearing down walls. I said about pulling the wires through and Mark is here.
I would like to, let's get this straight. This stuff should have been done a year and a half, 2 years ago. Every vendor I've spoken to, Commissioner Hodgkins has done an investigation. He owned a construction company. I would absolutely agree with everything he said. Every vendor we spoke with added 20, 25% on labor because we didn't get this done when we should have. This should have been done when the walls weren't up, okay? People were kept out of it. Okay, and then we have people, in my opinion, who didn't know what they were doing, and it's cost the town a lot of money. We're here to clean it up. We got it ready to go. The help with Aleem and Rashana, okay? We've also cut some things out that were in there. And as far as running conduit and stuff, I could tell you that some of the conduit was run wrong places, and it would have cost more money to tell them to stop and fix it than rather just leave it, okay? Which is what we did when we came back on to fix this project. Okay, we would have spent another $20,000 if we tell them to stop, change the plans, because whoever told them where to run stuff, it was done wrong. Okay, end of story. What other questions do you have?
I have none for you.
Okay,
The bottom line is that we need direction to get this thing moving so we can get this thing done by a certain date. We want this police department to open when it's supposed to. And so these guys, we've got them on the line. They're ready to go.
legal signed off.
They're
We're ready to go on a piggyback.
Waiting for us to give them direction to go ahead and,
So I'm asking we put it on consent so we can get it ordered. And then as soon as next meeting when you vote, they're going to hit the ground running. Work with building, get the permits pulled, start working.
we got guarantees that they will finish.
Let's move it to
on time.
to line for consent next meeting.
Consent. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Police Department, Chief Dabney-Donovan, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roshana Dabney-Donovan, Chief of Police for the Town of Pembroke Park Police Department. I will be providing the stats for January 2024. As always, I would like to thank my police personnel who continue to work diligently to reduce crime and provide great service for our community. It continues to be my honor to work with them. For the month of January, the police department continued to focus on issues such as noise complaints, unusual activity, and homelessness. Currently, we continue to have 15 extra watch requests in which officers ensure they either drive by, park and walk, or park and write at specific locations during their shifts, time and incidents permitting. January rang in the new year by focusing on collaborations and increased networking with other police agencies and county entities, training in Marcy's Law, completing quarterly reports for just grants, and forming new relationships with new businesses. PD personnel also ensured school safety by participating in lockdown drills for both Watkins and Lake Forest elementary schools. As for the stats for January, there has been a 35% decrease in traffic stops, a 23% increase in traffic crashes, a 129% increase in arrests, a 67% decrease in burglaries, and a 24% increase in other calls. Additionally, there has been a 6% increase in alarm calls and a 3% decrease in total citations. Total calls for service have increased by 2%. If I may have the floor for a few minutes, I would also like to expand on
Granted.
some other work that we're doing. On September 13th, 2023, I was sworn in as your police chief because of your faith in my ability to do my job and perform it effectively. I inherited an agency whose policies were not enforceable because they were retrieved by another agency and did not represent processes relative to this town or county. It has been my number one goal within the first quarter to ensure we have policies that are stable and enforceable. I have hired a consultant who is coming close to the end of her contract, and policies have been reviewed for accuracy, amended, and will be formatted for our system with the next step to present them to the commission for approval. Additionally, it has also been a goal of mine to align this agency with the FDLE standards that are needed to effectively maintain state standards. This is part of the, not only this is Not only is this a part of the accreditation process, which my team and I are diligently working to receive, but this will allow us to be the gold standard within this county. Separately, on March 20th, 2024, FDLE will be visiting our agency to perform their triannual audit, as they do within all agencies. Third, we are like all agencies nationwide, needing personnel. During my tenure, I have hired 7 staff members, with 1 currently in the process as a full-time police officer, and 4 PHQs that have been provided to fulfill other vacant positions. I have taken my time in this hiring process because I want to ensure that we are above board, following guidelines and law enforcement practices. Last but certainly not least, I have expanded our community policing initiative, and my officers and I have solidified partnerships and relationships with businesses, schools, faith-based organizations, residents, and town personnel. We participate in every town event and have hosted initiatives ourselves, such as Coffee Chat, Shop with the Cop, and Pizza with the Police. We've read to students in classes and participate in Career Day, all with me at the helm. I have also created partnerships with community groups and activists who are typically very critical of law enforcement, but it is my belief that a leader should never avoid those hard conversations. Instead, have candid and transparent conversations with individuals who may differ from yours, oftentimes discovering that you have more in common than not, which is an opportunity to both learn and educate. Currently, I am still hiring, working on grant reporting, addressing complaints, working to clean up our reporting system and follow-ups, and excitedly participating in our police build-out, just to name a few. I am also working to restore faith in this agency, create confidence with people within the town itself, and provide best practices and delivery of service to our community. One of my goals is to continue moving this agency forward, something that I have stated repeatedly to my staff. I have always stated that I am an open book and have made myself available to the commission. I will never intentionally put this town or agency in a position where I'm not following proper protocol. Now, there are people who may not agree with the changes that I am making and the decisions that I am putting in place, but that comes with the territory. As a CEO, I won't make everyone happy. However, as you all know, some decisions you all won't make everyone happy either. I take my time to look at the facts presented to me and want to ensure that the decisions that are bestowed upon me to make are looked at from every angle, as I need to have all information in order to do so. I also want to state that I am human and will make some mistakes, as everyone in this room, because none of us are perfect. But I will say that I, along with other members of this town, along with the members of the police department, have the mindset of working together, and we can overcome any issue as long as we continue working together. I've chosen to be here because I care about my people. I care about this community. I have a passion and a heart for what I do, as does everyone on this dais. My hope is to continue working with each of you to make this agency one of the best in Broward County.
Thank you so much. Is there any questions?
I have questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Jacobs.
During our break between meetings, I did verify that, yes, discussions have been happening about a BSO contract. I have not had that discussion. You said no, you said
have
no,
not.
but you've heard it as well.
I heard rumors.
I want to be very clear from the commission that we are not going in the direction of a joint contract with BSO.
I have no
Have any
discussions about BSO.
I had a conversation with the commissioner over there that says it's happening.
Yeah, but
So
they had any
Listen.
evidence?
I hold that person.
I am telling you, I have not spoken to anyone concerning BSO or a contract. If you're directing the question to me, I have not broached anyone at West Park or anywhere else to talk about BSO.
Okay, that has to come from the commission if we decide to go that direction, from all 5 of us to you. Please
Okay.
keep that in mind going forward. Police
Yeah.
chief, do you think it's appropriate to maintain a list of, say, 1 commissioner and a handful of officers on tracking their whereabouts and what they're up to and maintaining that information? That be appropriate for a police chief to be doing?
I don't know what you're talking about, but.
I was made privy to a list of myself and a few other officers that are on it. That you said we need to be scrutinized and watch what we're doing. Everyone on that list except for 2 people are still here in Pembroke Park, myself and one other officer that's been on paid administrative leave for months now.
Okay.
So the other ones have all left. One thing that they all have in common is they're all Caucasian males as well. But the thing is, with this other officer that's still on leave, I don't know what his position is, but people seem to have an issue that our kids seem to play hockey together, and that's why he's not back here. And I have an issue with that. I don't have any relationships with anyone here in this town, and except for professional outside of whatever I have. But if his position's being held up because of his friendship with me or our acquaintanceship, whatever it is, that's completely unacceptable. But everyone on that list is no longer with Pembroke Park except for the 2 of us. And I see that as a major problem, that there is a paper out there with that information on it. So it has been reported to the proper authorities. It will be taken care of and handled appropriately. But I wanted you to make you aware that I think that's unacceptable on behalf of a police chief.
Okay, well, my interim town manager, my interim town attorney, all have the proper information as to why that specific officer is on paid administrative leave. I will not discuss the reasons why he is on paid administrative leave, but let me make one thing very clear. I care about my officers and their safety. I care about the people in this town and their safety. And I will not jeopardize their safety, my safety, or you guys' safety for anybody. When you have the correct information, sir, you will understand that what you are saying right now is wrong and it is detrimental. We don't want to go to BSO, and we thank you for opening this police agency for us. But at the same time, I implore you that if you have information that you may have questions about, you come see me personally. I am an open book, just like I stated. I'm not going to sit up here and lie for anybody. I'm not going to sit up here and cover for anybody. And I'm not going to put myself in this town in any kind of jeopardy for some hidden agenda. Okay? So when you have the right information, I want you to sit up on that dais just like you're doing tonight, accusing me of wrong and inappropriate things, and I want an apology.
What about people's civil rights?
So that's the end of that conversation.
What about people's civil rights, violating
Are
people's
there
civil rights?
any other questions?
Guess we'll have that discussion at another later day.
Yeah, let's have some coffee, sir.
No, we will not. We will be in a public forum if we ever meet.
Sure. Any other questions?
Well, thank you, Chief Donovan.
you.
Thank you. Public Service Department Interim Town Manager, Director Ghany, please.
I'll turn it over to.
Yeah, so, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commissioners, the acting manager asked me to help supplement this presentation. As the commission may be aware, we received, I don't know if there's a formal application, but a notice from a developer looking to do some work in the community under the recently enacted Live Local Act. Commission may be aware, may recall that back in May of last year, our office published a legal memorandum providing an update on this recently enacted statute. What it does is it provides a great deal of leeway to developers, particularly in the context of building projects as it relates to zoning, building height, and density. And it provides certain specific preemption both to the state as well as to your administration. There are a couple things I want to just read into the record to make sure that the commission is aware of as it relates to development. The Act specifically provides for preemption on a municipality's ability to require a multifamily development to obtain a zoning or land use change, special exception, conditional use, variance, or comp plan amendment as it relates to zoning, building height, or density. So in other words, a city does not have the ability to require a developer to obtain a specific, again, special exception changes as it relates to those 3 issues. The prohibitions when it comes to density and building height are very clear. A city, town cannot restrict the density of a proposed affordable housing development that's authorized by the Live Local Act below the highest allowable density on any land within the city where residential development is allowed. The act also tells us that cities are not able to restrict the height of a proposed affordable housing development any less than the height of either the city's maximum allowable height for commercial or residential development, which is located within any 1 mile radius of the city, or 3 stories, whichever is higher. So there are certain limitations that the city has, the town has, when it comes to restricting development, particularly as it relates to height, building density, and zoning. Now, the key, or a key part of this statute is the direction and authority it gives to your administrative staff. What the statute tells us is that administrative approval, not commission approval, not approval by the collective collegial body, but administrative approval for affordable housing development applications that meet the standards of the city code as it relates to those issues that I just referenced, needs to be approved. And it needs to be approved administratively. Assuming that certain criteria under the statute are satisfied, those matters, those items do not come before the city commission, this town commission, for approval. They're approved administratively by your planning staff, by your town manager, by your professional staff. Now, there are some proposed changes that are currently working their way through the legislature in Tallahassee. Some of those changes may impact a few of the provisions that I just referenced, but one thing I want you to keep in mind is that the current bill that is now working its way through committee gives developers a very unique and a very specific right. The bill, as it's currently drafted, I do not know whether this will be in the final legislation, but as the bill is currently drafted, it tells us that a developer has the option, has the discretion to operate under the law at the time in which they submitted their application or their written request or notice of intent to utilize the Live Local Act. So what does that mean? In this particular situation, the town received a letter of intent from a developer in December of last year. If the legislature were to change the Live Local Act in some way this session, which would take effect presumably July 1, as those changes typically do, this developer would have the option of operating under the law as it read in December of 2023, or under the law as it might be amended. So I just want to be very clear that any changes to the law that might occur in this particular session would not affect an application or a notice that was submitted to the town, today, yesterday, or in December of last year. So we're still working our way with your professional staff, with your planning consultant through this particular application, but we just wanted the record to be very clear publicly that there are certain limitations and certain preemptions on what the commission can and cannot approve, and there are certain approvals that may not even come to the commission under the way that the law is currently structured, because it gives specific and unfettered administrative authority to your professional staff, assuming certain criteria are satisfied. Now, as it relates to this particular development, there are a number of open issues that your staff, along with our office, is working through. The zoning side of the equation is fairly straightforward. We've already worked with your planning consultant. Your planning consultant has already submitted a response letter to the applicant as it relates to confirming the zoning requirements. There are certain issues when it comes to roadways and access. In this particular application pertains to a project along County Line Road. The town does not control all of that ingress and egress on this particular site. Some of that ingress and egress is controlled by Broward County. And one of the things that we're currently working to determine is whether or not these approval forms need to be signed off by the town as the local municipal jurisdiction, or the county, who has control over the roadways. And that's a specific issue as it relates to the roadways. We are still working through several of those issues. Another one is capacity when it comes to utility infrastructure, whether or not the town has sufficient utility infrastructure at that location. Again, there are open issues that we are working through with your professional staff, but your manager, your planning consultant wanted the record to be clear this evening that there are some limitations as it relates to the town's ability to deny certain applications. Again, not suggesting for a moment that that would be the intent of the commission, but we're still looking through this application when it comes to those issues, and wanted the commission to be publicly aware of both the statute as it exists, what it provides, and what some of those limitations may be. Again, we'll certainly work with your manager and your staff to keep you updated as the matter proceeds.
Okay, there was also some issues, if I remember, about setback and enough parking.
And again,
Again, are Tallahassee going to overrule there?
Well, we have the planning consultant. That's why I have him here.
Well, Van der Meulen, as they say over there, from the mill.
Yes.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Commissioners, Mike Vondermeulen with Keith. As the town attorney has mentioned, there has been a request for information and a request for a zoning interpretation letter, as well as a request for the town to sign certain documents so that the property owner may seek funding from the state of Florida. We are aware that this particular developer has received some funding, what they call gap funding from Broward County for this affordable housing project. And I believe that's why they came in with the zoning request letter. So depending on how much information you would like to find out and what we actually know, I'm here to answer any questions. In terms of parking, the state has not preempted parking. There are certain preemptions if there are certain thresholds met, that being in the statute, the 2024 statute, which has not been signed by the governor, is that the town would be forced to consider parking reductions, or actually physically allow parking reductions if you are within a transit
corridor.
transit hub. I think it's a multimodal hub. So it would either need to be a bus depot, the train stop, other stops that would handle mass transit. In this particular case, you have to be within a half mile of one of those. This property is not within a half mile, so therefore they would still need to meet the town's parking requirements. Town's parking requirements are 2 parking spaces for every unit that is proposed on the property.
You want to touch base on actually the setback requirements?
Yes.
Yeah, and also the impact fee when we get to that.
Yes, so everything we've done so far has been without the benefit of a formal site plan. We've seen some napkin sketches, we've seen a few things get passed around, but there's been no formal site plan presented. They're just basing all of their questions on the Live Local Act and how it applies in the town of Pembroke Park. So as the Live Local Act is currently enforced, we or the town are required to enforce the setbacks for this property based on the highest density residential zoning district. So therefore, your highest residential zoning district is RM 25. The setbacks are somewhat convoluted. So the front setback, assuming that the front of the building would be County Line Road, that setback is on a traffic way, is an arterial. That setback is 50 feet. That's a minimum. Your side setback, this would be the interior side because this is a corner property, is 15 feet or 1/2 the height of the building. So at this time, we cannot provide them an actual setback because they have not provided us a site plan or a building that even shows what the height of the building will be. The street side setback is actually the greater of side setback. So again, we need to wait until you actually see pictures of the physical building with it located on the property and the proposed height. Lastly, the rear setback would be 20 feet, plus if the building is over 20 feet in height, there'll be 1 foot of additional height for every 1 foot of setback for every 2 feet in height. So we could come up with hypotheticals and provide those with you, but until we see an actual, designated height on drawings, on the site plan, on elevations, we are not able to make any determinations. Again, the rest of the RM 25 code is in full force and effect on any property that tries to use live local. Within that, there is within the town, there's a requirement of either 30% pervious area, meaning 1/3 of the property is essentially landscaping, retention, or if the parcel is larger than 1.5 acres, which this property is, the pervious area is increased to 35%. So you're talking about providing 2 parking spaces for every unit that they're going to propose, and as well as more than 1/3 of the property being used for green space.
These are all one-bedroom units, right? That they're proposing?
Oh, we don't know.
That's what I was told today at a meeting. They said that they're all one-bedroom units.
So we do, again, we don't have the benefit of a site plan. There could be things tossed out if it's all 1 bedrooms, or if there's a mix of studios and 1 bedrooms, or even a 2-bedroom and 4. I know that other than the financing from the county, the attempt to finance with the state, and this being age restricted to seniors, that is about all the information that we have.
Sounds like they're trying to build something for the people in the trailer parks, have a place to go when they take the land away.
Well, they're trying to keep the price down by limiting the parking, but then some of the concerns have been, will that parking overflow into the streets?
That's correct. And the situation is that 2 parking spaces for a 1-bedroom apartment is pretty high. And that's that you will not have a parking problem. However, if for some reason a developer does not want to comply with these RM25 requirements, the setbacks would go to your special magistrate as a variance. They would have to prove to that special magistrate that they have a hardship, and it can't be a financial hardship. And if the site is a basic rectangle, it is extremely difficult and because the site is vacant, it's extremely difficult to be granted a variance based on a non-financial hardship. The parking reduction, if such one was going to be requested by the developer, would come to the city commission. That is not preempted by the state. So if there was a parking reduction included in a final request that comes to the town, the parking reduction would come first to the Planning and Zoning Board for a recommendation, and then ultimately to the town commission.
They could probably build the building on stilts or something, to get it up off so they have underneath parking or something.
Yeah, there's all different kinds of options. They could do structured parking.
Yeah, I think parking is the least of their problem.
Agreed.
Yeah, but also for the city, if it's declared or classified as affordable housing, we do not get any property taxes from it. So we will get expenses but no income.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you. Is there any other questions?
It's just one clarification. I think what the interim town attorney mentioned, administratively signing the application does not constitute the approval. When I say signing the application for water and sewer capacity, signing off on roadway accessibility and infrastructure does not constitute the approval of the project, but just to move the ball along.
Yeah.
But it approves the infrastructure for all the utilities.
Yes.
But what happens if they?
No, there is capacity improvement that is going to be required. So,
and that will
the
be
developer will actually have to bear that cost.
And there's going to be a fee for that.
And there's also the
From the
impact
town.
fees, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you, sir. If there's no other questions,
Thank you.
thank you. Well, you're still on, Ghany.
Stormwater.
12.2.
12.2.
stormwater drainage improvements.
And that will be Craig
Yeah.
A. Smith.
Well, I'm
Associates.
doing
And we got
a PowerPoint presentation.
yes, thank you.
This item actually is before you here today. It's pertaining to the stormwater drainage project that started in 2017.
I don't know if you have it on.
It's on,
Oh,
2017.
Thank you.
This project actually has been permitted and re-permitted, separated, then combined. So over the years, I'll give you a brief history of what Broward County has permitted on this and what the town has permitted. So next slide. Okay, this is the area traditionally that we have major flooding issues or major flooding in the town. So it's not, it's not a hidden agenda or anything like that. It has been shown by models that the town did since 2017 that this area has a flooding problem. All the streets, I could point out, all these areas here as part of the model that has an issue with flooding. The area that was modeled and designed by Craig Smith. Next slide. 2015, the project was initiated as a stormwater modeling project with major outfalls into the Behan Lake or Trinity Lake. This project went out for bid and the bid was not awarded. 2016, no,
I'm sorry.
same slide. 2016, this project was rebid. Construction costs exceeded the budget. Craig Smith was given the direction to reduce the scope, of the project. Next slide. In 2017, the scope of the project was expanded into a phased approach. Since the cost of the project was too much, they actually said, let's do it in phases. The design was completed using the ICPR, which is a standard model for stormwater and drainage, and grant funding was sought. The grant funding was never obtained. In 2021, the lift station and improvements to 27th Street, Park Lane, and Bryan Road was also done. The design funding was approved by HMGP funds. I brought that before the commission in October. The design was actually paid for through HMGP funding. The construction phase received a very low score on the FDEP grant scoring criteria, and it was not funded. So we got some of the design funded, but the construction was not funded. Next slide. All right. Presently, in our stormwater funds, we have $5.874 million. And we also have two other sources of funding, which is the Broward County surtax projects, which is a little over $1.2 million, and a C-SLIP project, which is a complete streets project. This complete street is a federal grant that we have, which is running on a small portion of the project. So we have three sources of funding. And what I'm planning to do on my proposal is, depending on the direction given tonight, is, next slide, is the phased approach. The Broward County surtax will pay for $1.272 million. There's an 11.9% escalation because of the cost of construction and what is happening. I've applied for the additional cost to be added, and hopefully that gets approved coming up. The new surtax total would be $1.423 million. Stormwater fees, which I showed before, we do have like $4.8 million in stormwater funding. It's going to be, I'm asking for $1.87 million to be added. And the C-SLIP, which is the federal portion of this project, is yet to be determined because we are still negotiating with FDOT on that portion of the project. So if you look at the numbers, if approved, this is what I'm going to be funding. This is what I'm asking for. If you go back to the map, the second slide on the map. Down again. Right. If you can see, this is the outfall. There's a pump station that is designed here. And this is the area that we have a lot of flooding issues. So what I'm planning to do is actually connect this whole system. And as funding becomes available later on, as the models show, we will connect the other streets that have issues. So it's going to be a phased approach. I am going to connect the major portion that is critical right now, and as funding becomes available, the other streets that have flooding issues will be connected to the trunk lines that are being designed. That's the project.
So you'll have the trunk lines out so that you will be able to.
That's why
connect to 'em easily.
Yeah, I'm proposing putting in the pump station and the connection to the lake, because that's going to be the critical. You put in the mouth of
Right.
system, and then you work backwards. From engineering, you work backwards, and then you start connecting all the other pieces. So as other on board, we could connect to the system, because we don't have $6.3 million to spend
Right.
immediately. And this is the proposal that I'm putting forward. Now, this project has been permitted several times, and the permit has been renewed 3 times already. So Broward County has us extending this permit one more time. If we extend the permit after this, the whole project will have to be redesigned. That's why it's before you today.
Yeah, I think we.
I have a question. The partly filling of the Trinity Lake where this water is going, how's that going to affect this, the efficiency of that draining project?
That'll be all part of the.
Come on, you want to come up?
Yeah, because right now I know that the 3 lakes and the mobile home parks are connected to Trinity Lake.
Yeah, I can't.
And we have now a drain line that's going to go down the street, but instead of going into the 3 lakes, it takes a detour through Beeham Park and then directly into Trinity Lake. What's the advantage of that? Because the other 3 lakes are already connected to Trinity Lake.
Yeah, I think we were just trying to get it to Trinity, and Trinity is where you have the drawdown capacity,
Right.
where you have your, ultimately it goes out into the
Storm station.
storm station
Yeah.
out in the DOT right of way. So that's what we're trying to do, is just get it to the town lift station that takes it out of the town. And I think, doesn't a portion of this, I have to check with Frank. Frank did the design, I didn't do it, but I thought that force main connected directly into the force main going out of the town. So it's not,
It's connected to the lake.
yeah, okay.
So you're recommending we moving it forward?
Well, the funding sources, the key item here is that the surtax project that is funded right presently has been moved twice for the last, I believe, 3 years. And we just, the town keeps kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, that's...
So if we don't, construct this, we're going to have to redesign it all over again, spend about $400,000, start over the process all over again. We do have some of the funding available, so what I did is curtail the project, reduce the scope, so we could get some of it constructed per the permit and tackle some of the trouble areas or the areas that are flooding. That's the whole idea or the premise behind it.
Oh, well, at least we can start. Are there any questions to it?
No, I think we should give direction.
Okay, let's
Proceed.
move it to the line item to consent. Marlon?
Got it.
Okay.
And it would also be authorizing to use the stormwater funds or the
Yes.
stormwater utility funds as part of the project fee,
Yes.
funding.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, 13.1, discussion, interim town manager Ghany.
Before you in your package, there's the ARPA funds that was given to the town. It was a total of $3.38 million. Some of the ARPA funds was spent on the police department. Every April, I believe, we have to submit an annual report for the ARPA funding. So during the July 12, 2022 commission meeting, the commission approved ARPA funds to purchase police vehicles. On May 11th, the commission approved using ARPA funds to pay for police staff salaries, And the spreadsheet before you showed all the allocations and all the approval. If you look at the bottom of the spreadsheet, it says the ARPA report is due on April 30th, 2024. The remaining of these funds must be obligated to a project by December 31st, 2024. All projects must be completed and funds must be spent by December 31st, 2026. So allocation of the fundings for ARPA, or these ARPA fundings, we have to start putting it into our annual reports. That's why it's before you today. There are several projects that I believe I put on. And again, these are just projects that I've seen being here a very short time. Projects that will bring some of the buildings into compliance, like the restrooms. You have reports here stating that the restrooms are non-compliant for ADA. The AC system, we all know what's going on with the AC system. We have gotten prices anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000. The elevator system needs to be redone. The police station build out for the holding cells, we have some funding there as well that I put in on the spreadsheet. Doing some landscaping around the town hall. Improvements to the park. Circle of Honor, there's a lot of areas where the grouts on those structures are popping out, and doing complete maintenance on that. Additional lighting at Raymond Oglesby as well. Playground and canopy equipment. There was some playground equipment there, and I'm putting, these are estimates that we got 2 years ago, some of them maybe a little shorter, maybe a year ago. So as you go down the list, you could see all the projects that, again, these are just some of the projects, I think, to bring the buildings into compliance, the parks into some of the issues that we've been having. And it's just an allocation that I came up with personally, in collaboration with some of the staff members. Again, I need direction if some of these projects, you want to move forward with them to allocate towards the ARPA funding, or this is why, this item is on here before you.
Does this include the public toilets that were vandalized?
Yes, this is going to be taking care of some of those, yes.
Any questions?
Some of these items are already slated for possible grant stuff in the future, which is like all the preserve stuff. Renovations in the building, like the AC system, updating the elevators. Those are all things that we need to get taken care of.
That's why it's
Those
on
are
the
critical infrastructure items. The new building over in Behan Park, that was ridiculous on the prices we were getting for that.
Correct, it was.
You remember. So, but we need a new functional building over in the park over there. That building needs it just needs removed and a new building put in place. But there's no restrooms for our Girl Scouts that use that park over there in the weekends.
Yeah, Commissioner,
unfortunately, they were
I just put together the list, just doing my site visits and talking to staff. If you could give me direction of how you guys want
We need to have some prices put with this stuff so we know what we're budgeting and spending, because the last quote we got for that new building over in the park was like $800,000 for an 800 square foot building.
I have prices.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, I know.
No. We could get modular buildings that can serve
No, we
purpose.
can't. Actually, the town does not approve that.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Tell you what can be done, though, is that the existing building there, they could basically put an addition on there, much more economical than they could ever.
Oh, we're talking about Behan
building
Park,
up.
right?
So yeah, let's say
Behan
Behan Park has a building. It's about 800 square foot. It's
Yeah.
termite infested.
It's
There's
termite infested, it's not compliant,
It's not
falling
solid.
not a
apart.
safe structure by any means.
Correct, it's falling apart.
Well, I'll tell you what we've done in the past is that you put the addition on, then you tear down the old piece of crap.
Yeah, no.
Rebuild.
Make the addition a
Rebuild,
real
well,
big one.
Again, I need direction. I just put together the list.
Can you put together some prices, bring it back at the next commission meeting so we can put forward an idea? Next
And-
workshop.
Yeah.
Give it a month, put prices with everything and bring it back forward to it.
Correct. So we could, do allocations to each one of these projects. We want some of the park exercise equipment. I know, we talked about that. The commissioner, we talked about the Linear Park. He wanted some additional lighting. So everything that was brought up by each one of you, I tried to put it on to fit in some of the projects that you guys asked for. So,
Without prices, we don't know. So if you can
Oh.
put that together, bring it back forward, then we'll have the discussion.
Okay.
That way we're not wasting time sitting up here.
I don't know if you remember now, but we did have, actually, it was a while ago, but we did have people give us prices on the bathrooms and stuff.
Yeah, the bathrooms, we have prices.
They're outdated
Those
now.
prices are all
They're outdated.
gone now, but
So one of the things I can do is use those same prices and add a 3% or 4% multiplier for cost of living increases and bring it back.
Okay.
I do have those prices.
Okay,
right, we'll
so
put
your
it-
directive is to find prices for all these projects, and we'll bring it up for next meeting.
I didn't, okay, thanks.
13.2, rotational positions. Clerk Commissioner Hoskins, discussion.
yeah, this is just something I want to throw around to everybody, see how they feel about it. I was looking at other towns, how they act and how they move their government around a little bit. They do, they do like a rotation system in some of the towns, and it seems to work. And it looks like, I think this whole commission here could use a little bit of knowledge of how the different seats act and how the experience that they would benefit by it. I think everybody would benefit by it if everybody knew maybe the pressures. Or Commissioner Jacobs here, he would definitely say that he was getting them calls at 11 o'clock at night. And so I think it would be good to have a rotating system. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I think if we bring that up and if we can put it up, maybe up, get the work done, legal work done in time to get it as a referendum or whatever we need to do to get it to put up to vote.
What's your take on that?
So, thank you, Vice Mayor, Clerk Commissioner. This is a unique issue, and it ties in directly to the discussion that we've been having regarding charter amendments. With regards to the Charter Review Committee that concluded their work in December of 2022, they recommended essentially an overhaul of your charter. I mean, a soup to nuts recodification, readoption of your charter. That is certainly one option. Another option, I think, which is akin to what Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins is referring to, is an amendment to one specific part of your charter. What your charter currently says is that the commission shall be composed of a mayor commissioner, vice mayor commissioner, clerk commissioner, and 2 other commissioners. At the first regular meeting of the commission following every election as provided, the commission shall, by resolution, appoint one of its members as and to be mayor of said municipality, another to be vice mayor, etc. We know that any amendment to your charter, with limited exception, would require a referendum. We also know that the Supervisor of Elections has advised municipalities in Broward County that if the town is interested in ballot access, the only opportunity in 2024 that the supervisor is prepared to offer is in November. He also would have offered in March, but that's past us from a timing perspective. But to the extent that the commission wanted to put a referendum item on the ballot, it would need to go on the November general election ballot. There is an election in August, but the supervisor has advised municipalities that his office will not be providing ballot access to municipalities in August. But November is a key date, because if you work backwards, the supervisor's deadline for the November ballot is usually in June, and it requires 2 readings of an ordinance to get on that ballot. This is a lot of legal, procedural steps. But if the commission wanted to propose a charter amendment, I would need direction from this commission to draft an ordinance to bring back to you for your consideration. If that item was passed on 2 readings, it would then be forwarded to the Supervisor of Elections and placed on the November ballot. What the Clerk Commissioner, I believe, is proposing is a system where the mayor, the vice mayor, clerk commissioner, and the various commission positions would rotate on an annual basis. In other words, you have an election annually for those positions. That is not uncommon in Broward County. There are a number of different organizational structures for municipal bodies. The county itself, for instance, rotates their mayor every year. The city of Oakland Park rotates their mayor every year. The city of Coconut Creek, I believe, rotates their mayor every year. So it's not a novel concept, but it would really require an amendment to your charter to formally embrace that specific rotation. Again, it's purely a policy issue, but ultimately it is up to the electorate of the town whether or not they wanted to amend the charter to implement that type of rotational system, be it for the mayor, the vice mayor, or any other position assigned by the commission.
Well, I can.
So what you're asking is that annually we go forward and rotate positions?
Yes, sir.
Just clarification. That's
Yes.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can support that. Any other discussions?
No, I actually support that. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so there's three here that, what about you?
I think it's a strong position as far as the mayor. So we just started here, especially for me. So I'm not ready and I need to learn more. And if others commissioners feel like they're ready for it and they want to go through that, this is.
Well, let's
It's a commission form of government. We're all commissioners, no matter what. No one has more power than the other. We are all equal that sit up here. That's the way our charter is written. The title is a more symbolic position. With the mayor position, there are extras that you attend, like the Florida League of Mayors, the U.S. Conference of Mayors. There's mayor things that you attend that help you with the leadership and direction. The commission position is the same across the board. Changing the titles, I think, is a great idea. Doing it annually.
If I could also, I'm sorry to
This is up.
And the way it works, be sure if I fight the town attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, it would actually go from the mayor and then the mayor would step down to be the vice mayor.
No, it would be an election. So you could decide every year.
And the truth is, you all get to decide what that would look like. I mean, I'll tell you, for instance, in Pembroke Pines, every year they elect a vice mayor. The mayor is elected at large. Every year they elect a vice mayor, but in their code, they have a rotation. So they know who's going to be vice mayor, which seat on the commission is going to be the vice mayor each year. There's no secret. There's a formality, but it's just a formality because the code provides a rotation. You could put a rotation in your charter and have it rotated by district number, or you could simply elect annually. So each April, because again, you run March to March. Every April, your commission meeting in April, there'd be an item on your agenda to elect a mayor for the next year, elect a vice mayor for the next year.
That would work.
And again, or you could have a situation where the vice mayor every year ascended to the mayor's position, and the mayor rotated back to a commissioner, and you had a rotation. Again, you all can control how that process would work. If it's the commission's direction by consensus this evening, I'm happy to bring back an ordinance so you can see some language as to how your charter might read if you wanted to consider a potential option like that. And again, just from a timing perspective, if that ordinance were to be on your agenda for first reading, say in April, you would have May, and if it were adopted, it would then go to the supervisor's office for June for placement on the November ballot.
I think the timing's perfect on it.
I think we should go
Your
ahead.
timing is right. I mean, you are squarely in the bullseye as it comes to timing.
If we did this, I think December would be a good month to change positions. As we do our annual holiday party, we can do the changing at the meeting and then start off the first year.
Well, we got sworn in April, so maybe if it's once a year, that should be every
I think
April.
Broward County does it just before Thanksgiving.
Again,
And different seasons.
your charter, we could build that in. You have March elections, so presumably after each election, you would need to elect a mayor. So April would make a logical sense.
Yeah.
The only comment I just wanted to offer as it relates to something Commissioner Jacobs just said, I agree. Undoubtedly and unquestionably, you all are co-equals on the commission. You each represent 20% of this commission. However, under your charter, positions come with certain duties and responsibilities. So the mayor has an affirmative duty under your charter over the administrative function of the town. The vice mayor has a very specific duty over the finance department of your town. So even though there would be a rotation, there would also be a rotation in responsibility as it relates to those positions.
Naturally. Okay, if you all agree, we'll go with.
I'll take that as direction. We'll bring back an ordinance in April.
All right, thank you. 13.3 OIG updates, Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins and Interim Manager Ghany. Which one of you would like to start?
I'll just start out by saying we've been getting a lot of attention, I'll put it that way, from the OIG, and they're looking for a lot of information, and they're really antsy about getting some answers from us about where we're at, what we're doing, how we're handling it, and we need to go forwards. So I'm going to now let our town manager explain the rest.
We have received several requests from the OIG, and actually those requests were our policies that we have in place, our purchasing manual, especially our P-card policy. And there were several requests for information. All of this information went through the clerk's office. And when the second set of information were requested, I believe our interim town attorney reached out to me and he says, I think you should actually give them a call and see what information they're looking for. They're looking for additional information on public purpose, changing the forms that we provided as part of our training, and making sure that we have a public purpose for each one of the items on our P-card purchase. If there's no public purpose, then if there's no receipt, what are we doing about it? And these are some of the questions that came up when I had spoken to them. And I believe the town attorney also had some.
Yeah, and I'll just offer to follow up on what your acting manager indicated. Our office, for the record, has had, I believe, one conversation over the past 13 months with the Inspector General's office. So we have been involved primarily through your town clerk and through your town manager in facilitating responses both to the report and some of their follow-up requests. We have not had very much, if any, direct communication with the Inspector General's office, although we've certainly been paying attention to what they've been asking. And not only do they have the current issue with regards to P-cards, there are some other issues that we know the IG's office is looking at as it relates to the town. As Mr. Ghany indicated, one of the things the OIG has focused on is, okay, we have now adopted an updated P-card policy and purchasing manual. Commission has adopted an updated travel reimbursement ordinance. But what is being done to go back and address the P-card usage that might have been otherwise problematic based on the report that was issued last year? I think that's still an open issue that your professional staff and your finance consultant are working through to determine how best to recoup any inadvertently or intentionally misspent funds over the years. I think that's something that your staff is still looking at. I know that's something that the OIG is still interested in determining, so we'll continue to support and work through those issues. One of the things in the backup was specifically related to training. And you may recall, towards the end of last year, your town manager provided each of you, with one exception, of some training as it relates to those P-card policies, purchasing manuals. I was asked specifically by the town manager to sit down with Commissioner Jacobs to go through those things with him. I did that. On December 28th, Commissioner Jacobs and I met one-on-one in a Zoom setting to go through the P-card manual, the P-card policy, the purchasing manual, along with your travel reimbursement ordinance and some of the other action taken by the commission. Just for the record, Commissioner Jacobs did not ask me to meet with him one-on-one. The manager had asked me to meet with him for whatever reason, and he and I had that conversation just to ensure that Commissioner Jacobs also had the benefit of that training and of that updated process. For the record, and I don't want to speak for Commissioner Jacobs, but I don't believe that he currently has a P card. I think he turned over all of his town purchasing cards, so I don't think that that's an issue as it relates to compliance moving forward. But I did want to state that just for the record.
And again, I did receive, I believe through the attorney, I did receive the P card that was torn up. But all the other commissioners' P cards is actually in finance office under their possession from the commission. So I think at this point, the only P cards that I held is by the chief of police, myself for the public works department in cases of emergencies, and also from the procurement, which is Susie's office. All other P cards has been taken away or removed from staff possession, and it's in the finance office right now.
And I would just offer, and I would defer maybe to the clerk who might have some additional information, but my understanding is the only thing that the OIG is still looking to confirm as it relates to this issue is what is being done to address any prior expenditures. I'm not aware of anything else they're asking for as it relates to P-card usage. My understanding is that they are generally satisfied with the ordinances and policies and procedures the commission has enacted. There is that one open issue as it relates to prior usage that I think your professional staff and your finance consultant are still looking at.
Okay, when do we expect that to be? What's the timeline?
I'm going to have to give you a proper timeline maybe at the next meeting. We are still in the process of evaluating the first year that they requested from the report, and we are going through each one of those purchases individually and actually marking them up. So as soon as that is complete, depending on how far back we have to go, I will give you a better date on that after consulting with the finance department.
The OIG didn't specify dates or anything?
We supplied everything. I think, Marlon, if you want to chime in.
Actually, the last information that we submitted to the OIG is the email that I've posted up. And at this moment, they were looking to complete their OIG report. So I don't think we'll be hearing back from them at this time.
Okay, good.
All right.
I think the next step is just they want to know, well, I guess the report is going to show that what has been done with prior expenditures and what is future disciplinary action has to be considered.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Where are
I got
we
one
at?
more thing. Just like to go on the record that the town clerk did provide misinformation to the Office of Inspector General regarding me. And I actually asked the attorney to send a correction on that matter when it regards to this training and me not working with town staff.
All right. Where you got any more?
No, that's it.
That's it for that. All right. So, any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Attorney comments.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Just two quick items, if I may. First, I just wanted to thank the mayor and the commission for the action taken at your special meeting. We certainly are grateful for the opportunity and do not take it for granted, and look forward to working with each and every one of you along with your professional staff moving forward. The other item that I have is actually not my item. This is the mayor's item. The mayor had asked me before she left the meeting if I would raise this issue on her behalf under the town attorney report. It relates actually to the police department and some concerns that she has herself and has brought to my attention, particularly regarding some complaints that I believe that she has received. Again, I do not know whether these are to be considered formal or informal complaints, but my understanding is that there has been somewhat of an ongoing sense of concern and frustration coming from a number of different venues within the department. She has asked me for some input, some thoughts, some guidance as it relates to how to best address some of those concerns. We know that your town commission has adopted a policy that specifically speaks to addressing complaints, particularly complaints that come in against members of the commission, members of your staff, members of your manager, your attorney, your HR director, and there's an investigation policy that provides some very clear guidance and direction as it relates to those issues. The policy does not provide any guidance or direction as it relates to some general operational concerns with regards to the agency. Again, the mayor has asked that we consider, or the town, I should say, consider engaging a third-party consultant to come in and provide somewhat of an overview, an analysis, a review of the overall operations of the agency 1 year on. Here we are 1 year on, and she is interested in trying to come up with a process that would allow an independent third party, not the commission, not your professional staff, not your town attorney or anybody else, but an independent third party to come in and just offer an assessment of the department as it relates to having been in operation for 12 months.
Thank you. Chief Donovan, would you like to say something about that? I understand you have tried to get an internal investigator for your department for complaints, or
if I could, this
Internal affairs, that's something completely different.
I just wanted to say, Vice Mayor, this is not an internal affairs issue. This wouldn't be something that comes in with regards to a complaint against an officer in particular. This would be a general review of the agency as it relates to operations, personnel, any personality issues. Again, I wouldn't want to provide a scope as to what the mayor's expectation are and what this particular consultant might look at, but I think a general assessment, just overall review, again, 12 months on was the intent of her item.
as long as there's a specific complaint that can be, evaluated and rebutted if it's not.
I mean, if there are complaints, because remember, we do get complaints, and if there is a specific complaint against a specific individual, your policy dictates that process. And there are, we do have some of those complaints, and we are processing those complaints pursuant to your policy. What I think the mayor is referring to is not a complaint against any one particular individual, but just a general a general sense of the agency, where the agency stands, 12 months in operation. Again, I'm not a law enforcement professional. I can't speak to what an agency should look like after been in operation for 12 months. I do not know. But I think that the mayor's intent was to have a third party come in and provide that assessment, make some recommendations. I did not get the impression, again, I don't want to speak for the mayor, I did not get the impression that she was looking to have somebody supplant the police chief in the context of this discussion, but rather have somebody come in and just provide an assessment of what works, what needs to be improved, make some recommendations that the commission and the agency could then consider, approve, accept, reject, et cetera.
Well, anything that can improve the department, I think is welcome. All right, town manager, you got any comments?
Actually, I do have something to comment about if you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when we discuss now about the update of OIG, we really do need to go ahead and bring this back. And the reason being is in the last paragraph that this is what was sent to me by Mr. McGill. And it says here, this is what the questions he was asking. Also, did the commission discuss disciplinary actions to be taken for P card holders violating the program policies on February 8th. What happened was that on February 8th, we were planning on bringing this forth to this commission, and we weren't able to at that time. So I put no, it was not discussed at the meeting. Then he asked, you also indicated that the finance director would be reviewing all past and present P-card accounts to determine if the purchases were made for a primary public purpose. And I responded, yes, the finance department with the interim town manager are reviewing the P-card statements. And then after that, was that information provided to the commission for their review and direction as anticipated? And if so, what was the outcome? And I put no, because finance department has not completed reviewing all P-card purchases for 2019 to present. And then this is why I say I brought this forth. It says staff will bring the information in the second paragraph, which is what I just read to you, to the commission for direction. So I just want you to be aware of that we do need to bring this back to you to make determinations as to how disciplinary actions will be taken.
Well, before we get to that point, let's get the findings from the finance department to see how, if there's anything serious enough to even go that far.
I'll give you the time it will take to finalize everything. I believe just 1 year is completed, so we are still working if we have to go from 2019. So I'll collect all that and get you the timeline at the next meeting.
Next commission meeting.
Next commission meeting.
Sounds reasonable. You have any other comments? Okay. Commissioner comments, Jacobs? Nope. Commissioner Hodgkins?
No, thank you.
Me? Nope. And you're not on the list, why not?
No, thank you though.
And me neither. Well, announcements, 70.1, regular commission meeting will be Wednesday, March 13 at 7 p.m. Yeah. Special magistrate Wednesday, March 20th at 9 a.m. Extravaganza is Saturday, March 23rd, and that will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Preserve Park. And workshop commission meeting be Wednesday, March 27th at 6 p.m. Well, meeting adjourned.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
8:20.
Everybody have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Yep.